Hello everyone. So in this video, I will explain you the uploading file architecture. I will give high-level design overview followed by a low-level design overview. So the high-level design overview will look like this. Here the idea is instead of sending a file from the front end to back end and then back end to storage, we are directly going to send a file from our front end web app to the respective storage. And here the storage, which we are using, is the Azure Blob. Now, in case if you are not aware about the Azure Blob Storage, then you need to learn about it. So basically, in order to upload a file to Azure Blob, we need some sort of SaaS token. So that particular part will become from the backend server. Yeah. So in the front end computation. So here, the user firstly interact with our front end web app, where he will select a file which he needs to upload after selecting a file. Then the front end computation will follow this particular loop. A user can select multiple files at once. Okay, so this computation can be in one loop as well for each file. So after selecting a file, then we are going to calculate the MD5 value, which will be unique for every file. Basically, MD5 value resemble a unique hash value, which will be calculated based on the file content. And then after calculating that file MD5 value, we are going to check whether that file MD5 value will be existing in our database or not, because every time when we are uploading a file through the Azure Blob Storage, then we are going to save its metadata to our database as well. Okay, so before going further in our loop, we are going to check whether that particular MD5 value exist or not. So in this way, we are preventing replication of our data. In case if it exists, then we were going to send alert info to the user that the file already uploaded. But in case if it is not there, then we are going to generate AS token. This is the prerequisite for the Azure Blob, which you need to check it okay. And then so in order to take a SaaS token, we need to give a post call to our backend server. Then it will going to give us the encrypted token, which we can use in our front end. So basically that particular token help us to upload a file to the Azure Blob Storage. It will do all the authentication on the authorization for us. Yeah. And then since the selected file can be very large, it can be in GB as well. So what we are going to do, we are going to divide. Firstly, we are converting our file data into the binary data. Once we converted the file data into binary data, then we are chunking it into multiple chunks. So here I have selected a 10 megabytes of chunk size. Okay. And then we can, for each 10 megabytes chunk, we can create one promise. And once that is uploaded to the Azure Blob Storage, then only we are going to create further promise for every 10 megabytes chunks. So at a time, we can have 10 chunks running. Parallelly, once all 10 chunks has been processed by the uploader, then we are going to take further more than chunks. So here in this way, the Azure Blob Storage will get the binary data. And once all the data uploaded to the Azure Blob Storage in form of chunks, then we are going to do the metadata entry to our database and the database table. Can be look like this, where we have the number of chunks for a file, an MD5 value, and the user who have uploaded that file. Okay, yeah. And in between the upload, if a user wants to cancel the uploading, then we can. Also give that functionality. So here, something we can use in our code is something called about controller. So that I will going to show you in the low-level design. So once the database entry has been done, then we can give a message to the user that the uploading file completed. So I have added the numbering for the high-level design. Wherever there is an alternative of in step, I have added a point numbering over there. So finally, the low-level design of the uploading file architecture will going to look like this in case if you are using the Angular, then maybe you can create one Azure Blob Storage service file, which you can place inside your root directory of your project. So basically, over here, I have divided the functionality in this manner. Firstly, we have something called as upload file function, which we're going to receive the list of selected files. And then we can pass that particular list along with the file index to further upload function. So over here, firstly, we are calculating the file MD5 value. Then even in order to calculate the file MD5 value, we are using a library called Spark MD5, which will help us to calculate the calculating unique hash value by seeing our file content. Now, a file can be very large, right? So we can't able to load the entire file into the memory. And for this, in order to load the data, we can load the data in chunk by chunk manner. So that will prevent our web browser from getting stuck or run out of memory. And then in the third step, we have one more functionality which we're going to check the metadata existence. For this, we need to call our backend. And then backend can query the inside our database, whether particular MD5 value is existing in our database or not for the current user. Once all the checks are done, then we can call the upload file to block function. So if you can read the command, then it will going to look like this. We are going to receive the current file. Then based on the SAS token, which we got from the backend server, we can access the Azure block functionality. Then since we are dividing the file binary data into fixed size chunk, then we are uploading the chunks 10 chunks at a time by creating a promise loop. If all the promises are finished, and create more promise until the file gets uploaded. Yeah, so this is it.